Well, I mean, you can certainly, you can email me at penny@amarketingexpert.com. You can also go through the contact form on our website. And what happens when somebody comes into our company is that, we look at the book first. We sort of assess it for what's the right, what's the author's budget, what are their goals, what's the right kind of marketing for this, and then I spend a little bit of time on the phone with them because I just think that there's only so much you can do in email. And I love email. I mean, I have a sort of a love-hate relationship with email, but I think email is really great. But this kind of contact, where you're on the phone with somebody and you can get a vibe from them, and there's nothing like it. So we try to schedule a call, and then we put together a proposal that's custom to, again, their goals, their budget, their book, and hopefully they decide to work with us. And everything is different for every book because every book is different, and every author has a different set of goals.
So, Penny, you're basically a person I would come to after my book is completed. You will help me with the marketing. So if I needed a cover, if I needed to understand who to put it in front of, that's where you would come in. If I had an idea, I couldn't come to you.
Yeah, if you even have an idea, if you want to just spend a little bit of time and go, do you think that this is a real, that this is a good idea? We can sort of have that conversation and say, yeah, but I think maybe you may want to change it here, or, let's think about doing it this way, or no, it's a perfect idea. Don't make any changes, just write it. So yeah, we can definitely do that. And I love that brainstorming, actually, because it's just a lot of fun to kind of help people go from this sort of, like if you're thinking about this clay, like this heap of clay, to whatever it is, this final finished wonderful project. And I have people that I've worked with, 10, 12, 13 years ago who are still, that I love this, who are still on the path, who are still, doing what they need to be doing and building their business. And it's a great feeling to have been a part of that.
So, Penny, I would like to go back to the book producers. With them, you said you basically will give up a little percentage. So are there any upfront fees for, those type of services? Or if I worked with you and went through you and that's how we wanted to do it, you will help me with that process?
Well, yes, I can help you with that process. Now, so if we end up working, so some people will come in and hire us for marketing when their book is not done yet. So I've read like their manuscript or something. And then part of that marketing campaign is a little bit of coaching to help get them from unfinished manuscript to finished book with a cover design and, and all of that. So that we can definitely do that. As an aside, if somebody says, look, I want to do my own marketing, but I'd really like your advice on such and such, I can definitely do that to go deeper. So to do a deeper dive in the information and doing some research and whatnot, we would charge just an hour coaching rate. And most of the time, I mean, I don't really like spending other people's money. I think that they can, if they can, use it to spend on marketing. I mean, most of the time we're spending an hour on the phone at the most, and they're welcome to call me anytime. It's not like I say, you only get an hour and go away. Don't leave me alone. But, we spend an hour on the phone with them and kind of go through what their goals are and where they need to be, and, maybe introduce them to a cover designer or an editor or a publisher, and they're on their way. Most people really just, they just want to be pointed into the right direction. They want to, they don't want to be sold, a bunch of stuff that maybe they don't need. They just want to have some guidance.
Now, I know that we had discussed some of your pet peeves, and
I'm not too obvious about that, I know.
And the whole thing with publishing a book is almost like everybody knows that you can do it, but trying to connect to that right person is like almost like the ball under the 3 shell game. You try that, you try this. So with I know you can't tell someone specifically, these are the 3 steps you need to take because every journey is different. But where should someone start? Should they call someone like you first? Should they write the book first? Like, where should they really be starting to make sure that they're on the right path?
Well, I think that the first the first piece of this is, I mean, you could certainly read, find some good publishing blogs that, that you just start reading up about the industry. I'm a huge fan of some of the industry blogs. So Digital Book World has a great blog about publishing, so you can kind of get a sense of what's happening in the industry and, what publishers are doing and that kind of stuff. But you can find people that you, find people that you trust. And if you feel like you're sort of operating in a vacuum right now, spend a little bit of money and go to a writers' conference. Go to a reasonably sized writers' conference. I speak at a lot of them. I actually have. I'm going next week. I'm going to Mexico. I know it's such a hard life, but I'm doing the San Miguel Writers Conference in Mexico, which I'm really looking forward to. I know a lot of quality people are going to be there. Mexico is a little bit too far for a lot of people, but ASJA, the Association of Journalists and Authors, has a great conference, in New York. So there's a lot of, you could even go to the National Speakers Association or, something like that, and just meet people in person and kind of get a sense of, who they are, and you'll learn a lot. You'll come away from the weekend full of information, feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant. So that's always a good way to do it. I think there's a lot of people writing a lot of stuff on publishing out there. Not all of it is totally accurate. So I think you just kind of have to read with a very with a very critical eye.
And for someone who has been toiling through this option for a while, because we all know the harder thing it is to get started on anything, especially with women, we tend to want everything perfect, everything lined up. When will you recommend somebody just go ahead and pull the trigger? Because, it's great to get prepared, but, people walk around with some, manuscripts for 10 years.
Yeah, and I think that in that case, I think that you should I think that it would be time for you to work with somebody. I think that we're always afraid, that's sort of, that I see this quote around a lot where, if we had to wait for the perfect time, none of us would ever get anything done. There is no perfect time to, maybe get married and start a family and publish a book. I mean, there really isn't. I mean, if you're waiting for, okay, I'm just going to wait for the spring and I'm not going to be that busy, there will be something else in the spring that's going to keep you from publishing that book. If you feel that you need somebody to push you, by all means, find somebody who will push you. And you want somebody who's not going to pat you on the head and go, good girl. You really want somebody who's going to kind of give you a kick in the pants. And one of the things that I will tell authors if they book an hour with me is we'll divide it up into 2 half-hour increments. And part of the reason why I do that is because I want to make sure that they are staying on task. Because I can spend an hour with them and send them on their way and never hear from them again. But if I give them homework and I say, okay, before we talk again, before you use up the rest of that investment, I want you to have X, Y, Z done, or I want you to get to a certain goal. And it sort of holds them a little bit accountable to get it done. So I think that, sometimes I need people to hold my feet to the fire. I think we all do. But there is no perfect time to get published. Just get out there. And you know what? Your first book may be not so great. I will tell you, my first book was awful. No, really. My first book had a hideous cover. I don't even know what I was thinking. I mean, seriously, my dog could have done a better cover than my first book cover. I mean, really, it's awful. And I do book marketing. So, you just don't know, and you learn as you go. Now, I love my Red Hot cover. I love my Amazon books by the truckload cover. You learn as you go. Your first book may not be perfect. Get it out there. And your audience, I will tell you that your readers will give you feedback that is so helpful. I had readers would write me and go, I love this book. Next time you write it, I'd love to see X, Y, Z. Bam, don't you know, if I hear that a couple times, I'm including that in the next book.
And the truth of the matter is, doing something for the first time is always an experience.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
But you can't get the experience unless you do it.
You cannot get the experience unless you do it. And like I said, you're going to have, you're going to make mistakes. It's just part of the process, the good news is, if you self-publish, with print on demand, so I had a situation one time with an author who she had launched her book, and then she realized that for some reason during the editing process, half of the book edits weren't incorporated in the version that she sent to the publisher, right? So normally, if you're printing 10,000 books and you've got them sitting in your garage, this is a horrible disaster. But now with self-publishing, you're not stocking books because it's print on demand, so books are printed as they're needed. So she went back to the publisher. She sent them a new file. They redid the interior. It cost her a little bit of money, but it was not a big deal. So you can, and I consistently update my books that are out there. You know what I mean? So I am here to take away everybody's excuses for waiting, because it's just gotten to be a much easier, much more author-friendly process.
And in the beginning, Penny, you actually brought up a very good point that even I didn't think about the self-publishing, because I remember before I started Launch LO40 about 2 years ago, when I decided not to go back to my prior career and start an online business, going to the library and grabbing some books. And then it was like literally within an hour of getting home, I started flicking through and realized these books are outdated, took them back and jumped online. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's part of the issue though too, is that our readers have, we need to give our readers what they want. And we need to respect the fact that they're investing their time and they're investing their money with our books. So we want to give them something that is quality. We want to give them something that is up to date. There's no quicker way to lose a reader than for them to pick up your book and go, oh my gosh, this is not worth the $5 or the $15 or whatever I spent on it. You'll never win that reader back, right? So quality, your book is your resume. Get it edited, get a good cover, and then know that if you need to put together an update for it and republish it, it's very, very easy to do.
Now, if someone has started a book and they have the book ready to go, what is the timeline now to get it from my desk to Amazon?
An hour. I mean, it really, I'm sorry, was that too easy? No. So it really, I will tell you that it really depends. So if you have a book that is done, right, you could have somebody design the interior of it maybe even in a week and have it up on Amazon. It really depends. I mean, that's a little bit of an open-ended situation, because it depends on, is your cover final, is your website ready to go? If you're a business, you already have a website, so that's kind of, so that's not really an issue. Do you know what I mean?
Right. What type of requirements do Amazon have to get get your book on Amazon? Are there, list of requirements?
No. I mean, sadly, no. I mean, you really just have to have, you have to have a cover. It doesn't have to be a good cover. Amazon doesn't discriminate, but you don't even really have to have an ISBN, which is the International Standard Book Number. You can use one of their numbers if you're just publishing an ebook, an ebook only. So, they really, you have to create an account, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, that was much easier than I anticipated, because sometimes when you go on Amazon, it looks like there's 1,000 terms of conditions.
Well, I mean, you do have to set up an account. So you do have to, but you could go under KDP, so Kindle Direct Publishing, and you could publish your ebook, and you could publish that. I mean, I can get an ebook onto that system in a half an hour. As long as the interior's done and the cover's done, it takes me nothing. So it depends on, if you are the publisher, then you have to have an account, you have to set it up, you have to send them your banking information, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're going through a self-publishing company and they're adding the book to Amazon, then you don't have to even think about that.
Now, let's go back to how long a book should be. Because I know that there are some books out there that's pretty, 50 pages. So is length really important? Because I know sometimes people will say, well, I have to have time to get, this book done, and they're talking 200 and 300 pages. But from what I'm hearing, especially with Kindles and Nooks and the way we read now, we don't necessarily buy a book and flick through the pages